All right. We are going to go live with Robert Michael today from House of Markus Fellowship. And yeah, we didn't really have time to schedule this or plan it much, but we're going to hop on now. Let me text Rob. Wanted to, I haven't done a live feed in a while, and I saw Rob the other day doing a live, and I wanted to support him. So here we go. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, hey Rob, how are you, brother?
Oh, not too bad. Let me adjust my screen here if I can.
Okay.
See, sorry, I'm in a hotel, so dealing with that.
Yeah, I know you've been dealing with a lot, man. Just want to send you a lot of love and strength and support.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Definitely need it.
I sense that. I sense that. Yeah, so I'm going through my own stuff, and you're going through your stuff, and we haven't connected in a while, and I'm
Yeah, you
really,
look like a whole different human being with that going.
yeah, it's gotta, gotta change it up. But there was a couple things I wanted to discuss today, and I also wanted to see what's on your heart and mind today. So you're my guest. Introduce yourself. I'm sure a lot of my followers know you already, but introduce who you are, what you're dealing with now, what's new, what's the latest.
So yeah, Robert Michael, for those of you that don't know, I started the House of Markus Fellowship, Unity Divine Creation Ministry, and other private organizations that are completely unregistered. Obviously, you can see my name on here, General_Executor on Instagram. So 14 years in the freedom um, movement, if you will. So there's not many processes out there that people can throw out at me that I haven't been through or already have knowledge of. And, in my 14 years, I've seen nothing but tail chasing. I've seen nothing but, promises made, people charging money for promises they can't bring forth. Um, pots of gold that are hidden in cystic EV trusts and, discharge instruments that are going to get you all kinds of money, all this great stuff that only the best of the best can actually use if they're lucky. The House of Markus Fellowship and everything that we're building is an actual community that's 100% private. Everything we do is private. Our website is completely private. Okay, all of our code is held in a trust. It's all the website's coded in trust. Our servers are soon to be put into a trust, and everything is private. Information goes nowhere but stays with all of us. So the community is amazing, right? We got the support center, we got the community forum people can chat on, we got the libraries, and we're soon to be refocusing everything to support the did to stuff. So we decided to create a fundraiser with the did to organization, Divine Inheritance Defense Team on the Offensive. That was a fundraiser for us to go into federal court, which we're shifting gears on that a little bit, because I'm starting to see the universe is saying, no, 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 not there, not yet. Anyway, what I have to do is get people involved. I need to get people in line with these certain things that have to be done before we go there, because it's not about me, right? And what we were doing was building a case in the federal court of claims based off of one of my cases, but it's not about me, right? To me, I was using it as a vehicle that was going to say, okay, once we carve this path, other people can do it. But the universe was saying, no, 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 and it's not the way. You got to get people lined up. All right, so this all deals with birth certificates, commerce, or birth registration, commerce, name usage, the whole kit and caboodle. And it's really getting a lot clearer for me, Dave, honestly. It's getting so clear, man. These little processes that we're using to, throw darts at the wall, just they're not the solution, man. They're not the solution. So I'm
Yeah.
starting to realize that the solution is a lot simpler than it seems. It might not be easy, but it's simple conceptually, right?
Yeah.
So that's really where I'm bringing everything back to, and trying to get people to understand that, look, if you join the House of Markus Fellowship, we are going to have this procedure. I'm getting with a few amazing freaking guys over the course of this week, well, before the weekend, tomorrow, and maybe even over the weekend, that you're not going to find these guys on the internet. What you will find is their bastardized paperwork that all these other guys are selling you. Okay. So for those of you just getting into the whole freedom thing and processes, what a lot of these guys do is they take my paperwork, they take these other guys' paperwork, and then they bastardize it, and they turn around and sell it to you for hundreds of dollars, whatever. Okay. We don't do that. Like, that's why House of Markus doesn't promise anything. We're not sending you to, you know, your hidden Sesta key minor account bull crap. We don't do that. We just teach you, right? So I began to realize, okay, we are going to create a process, a procedure, but it's going to be damn solid, right? Because we know the people I'm pulling together, these guys are doing this stuff every day and have been doing it for years, and the proof is in the pudding with what they're able to do. They can show me proof. This is how we do it. This is how I do it. Here's all my cases I've worked on. Bam, bam, bam. You know, because we've got, right now we're dealing with what? Commerce and a corrupt legal system. Those are the two things that are keeping us all enslaved, right? So those are our focus. We want to knock that out. And how we do that is with a unified force, right? But everything has to be uniform, and it's got to be private, and people have to be educated. So there's never going to be a, you know, here, fill this out. You're good. It's never going to work. Never, ever, ever, ever going to happen, because responsibility is freedom. You know, that's why they say, in my opinion, freedom isn't free. No, it's not. It's hard work. It's hard work. Yeah. And if you're not going to work hard, then you probably shouldn't be free. Or that's why you don't have freedom. Right.
Right.
I just got off the phone with somebody that was bringing to me a friend of hers that's in this other group, and she's like, and they're charging her $100 an hour. Yep. And this woman swears that this is how you do it. She's done it for other people already. I said, if she's done it for other people and she's gotten her hidden account, why can't she tell this woman directly where to go instead of sending her on a goose chase? And why is she charging her $100 an hour? Right? Come on. Very simple questions to ask your guru, guys.
Yeah, Rob, let me just say that I've dealt with a lot of these gurus in the past year, and I could fully affirm that many of them are only interested in those FRNs, and when you need them most, they are nowhere to be found.
Nope.
I have paid a lot of FRNs to some people who I thought I trusted, and they went silent. I'm talking a lot of money, like money that I don't even have, and they, you know, they show you little teasers on their posts to reel you in, to pay you those FRNs. And I can just tell you that you are 100% right, that most of the people out there are complete scammers and not trustworthy, not honorable. And one thing I've always resonated with, and I've stuck with House of Markus, is because you guys are not doing that. And you're trying to actually build something, and you understand the difference between public and private, and the power of creating trust. And you're not promising things that you can't deliver on. And you have a very affordable, you know, $33 a month is very fair and affordable for all the content you can get. So I just want to say I fully support you, and I really believe that we are going to find the way to, you know, correct the status, like you said. For me, it's all about correcting the status and reclaiming the wealth.
Yeah, the two things, right? Because once the status is corrected, the legal system has to abide by that, and then the wealth comes by saying, now you guys have taken this interest and not paid me for my interest. You haven't paid me for my interest. Where's my pay? I've got all the proof that, bam, here's where you've invested. Where's my interest? That's where the money comes from. But if you would, Dave, if you wouldn't mind putting houseofmarkus.org and pinning it, so if people want to know more, they can go there, I'd appreciate it.
Yes.
Because some people confuse it and they think it's MARCUS, but it's KUS. So I just put houseofmarkus.org. Thank you. So let's talk about that for a minute, Dave. Okay. So in the freedom community, everyone is touting some hidden secret process that, takes all this crazy maneuvering to do, right? And they don't ever teach you about, like, dude, when you get into a courtroom, you better damn well know how to function, because they're not going to have any of your secret paperwork, your cestiny strongman stuff. They're going to laugh at it. They're going to call you a sovereign citizen, throw it all aside, and they're going to charge you anyway. And you're going to lose your home. You're going to get thrown in jail. All that stuff's going to happen. These guys don't teach you that. They just teach you that, oh, once you do this, they can't touch it. If anybody ever says to you, once you do this, they can't, run, because they sure can and they will. And like you said, when you turn around to ask for these guys' help, they're nowhere to be found, because they're using you as a guinea pig for money and a tool for their own experimentation. That's it.
Absolutely. Rob, I want you to stress the importance of this this plan you have, and why donations are important. But there's three things that I wanted to discuss today that I hope we have time to get to.
Oh, yeah.
One of them I just want to make sure you're comfortable discussing, and that is the nature of CUSIPs. I know that's kind of a private, touchy situation when it comes to securities and stuff, but I do have some specific questions on it that are they're very important for me to understand.
Remember, Dave, real quick, in the terms of speaking about private stuff publicly, it's only what's private is between me and other people. If it's a general concept, we can discuss that all day.
Okay.
Long. You know what I mean? It's like, but if we got on here and you're like, hey, my CUSIP, and I start going, well, you're a CUSIP in this account and all that, and that's bringing our private information in here. So you're good.
Yeah, it's a general, just understanding the concepts behind it. Right. So I'll ask that question in a sec. Yeah.
And by the way, we're not giving legal, tax, or professional advice. This is just for entertainment. Seek an attorney and a tax professional if you have those questions.
Right. Yes.
But go ahead.
So that's the first thing I wanted to discuss is the CUSIPs. The second thing is the POA DOS, which is the foundational documents of the House of Markus that you've created, and those documents are absolutely amazing. I reread mine the other day, and when I created those, I didn't have a proper understanding of what they are, and I'm rereading them again with all the knowledge that I've gotten over the past year or two. Dude, they're just amazing documents.
Thanks,
and
man. They were divinely inspired, dude. They really were.
And I know you said they're not perfect and everything, but they're pretty damn close to perfect as far as I can see, as far as my understanding. And the third thing I want to discuss was cracking the code. I'm going through that entire PDF right now, and I wanted to get your take on where I'm at right now, which is the private agreement, the security agreement, and creating those, and then with the UCC1 and the UCC3 and all that, and what your take is on that. So that's just sort of my overview of what I wanted to discuss. So
let's do it.
Okay, so can we jump into my first question, and then maybe you can jump into what you want to discuss as far as your plan and why the donations are so important to get that plan going.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when people, there's a lot of people selling CUSIPs like, oh, you can find your CUSIP and everything like that. And I've personally found that those free find your CUSIPs online using this method are not effective and they're not accurate. And you had told me in a Q&A a while back, you have to go through a licensed Series 7 broker. I went through 2 of them, and I found that they came back with the same CUSIP. So that was my way of saying, these guys are right. If one comes back with this and this, it's like, okay, who's wrong? They both came back with the same one. My question is, how do they identify that fund is tied to your name? I mean, I know we're looking up, we're entering in certain account numbers that it could be our birth certificate, it could be our certain account we have, so whatever. But how are those brokers saying, yes, that fund is tied to you and your name? Do you know? I'm trying to understand that in a way that I could say, that I could almost speak more definitively that, yes, that is my fund. That is my CUSIP.
So that is a highly regarded secret, so to speak, unfortunately. Even my CUSIP guys, like, he has to work with somebody, with these brokers to actually show them how to tie. Because I had the same thing. I went to brokers and they're like, yeah, but I don't know how to tie it to your name, So there is a way to do that, and how you find it. The way our guy apparently finds it is with the name and the number, the account number, and the fund, right? He finds all of that with those three things in there. He's been at it for like 20 years. So I personally don't have that exact answer on how you do it. I just know that when I've gone to brokers with these CUSIPs, they've sure enough said, yeah, they're in there. Now, the thing is if that court case and all of that is my driver's license number, my birth certificate number, if that's in an investment account, those items already have my name on it. See what I mean? So regardless, if I know how to tie the name in, to me, when I provide this as evidence, I go, my name is on this piece of information that is in this account, because here's the account number, which is my driver's license number, my birth certificate number, the court case. My name is on that. So regardless, if you're, like if someone were questioning me saying, well, how are you, like you said, how are you tying it in? Very simple. How is that account being traded? And my name's on that particular account. So there's my interest, right?
Or because when you go to the Fidelity, for example, right, and you look up your fund, you're not going to see your name there. You're not going to see your account number there. So it's like, okay, if someone were to question me, I just want to be able to say, well, listen, here's my results. My name and my account number are part of that fund, part of that account.
Right.
I have an interest in that account.
Yeah, you're going to say, look, the driver's license is this driver's license number comes up in this investment account. My name is on the driver's license. So
there it is.
Of course, without getting into it's not really my name. I mean, yes, we know that. But what we're saying is the person that I am responsible for as a sole proprietor, because that's all it is. We'll get to that too. Let's keep it simple. That I have interest in that. So you're putting it into a mutual fund and you're not notifying me that you're putting it into a mutual fund with my name on it. That's sorry, but that's illegal, or unlawful. It's against SEC rules. It's against SEC disclosure rules. And that last document that I did put up in our membership, when I went through the administrative process, I think it was administrative process for unauthorized transactions, right in the SEC rules, unauthorized transactions. Well, I didn't authorize that.
Yeah.
So who authorized it? So that's where the argument comes in with using and how I use the CUSIP is to say, this court case has my name on it. You invested in it. You didn't tell me that. So this driver's license has my name on it. It's in an account. Right?
People need to realize, like, even a court case is like an account number that they're trading. So like if you did a CUSIP search on a court case, they would be able to find a CUSIP for that had your name on it because they used that court case number, that account number. Right. And then your driver's license, your social, your birth certificate, state registration number. And so when the results come back and it says, your name, your person's name, and then the CUSIP number, pretty much my understanding is that any Series 7 broker would be able to find that same information and tie it to that fund, right? And
should be. Yeah. I'm not sure that, the buttons to push not to actually do that. And Wes is like, well, I'm not disclosing that because, that's part of what I do. And I don't want this getting out all over the place. And he's already been attacked by the government for doing it. And he's proven himself where they can't stop him from doing what he's doing. But that's his, I can't pry into the man's business. I'm like, all right, man, as long as you back these up. Yes, I do. Okay, great. I went over just to check to some other Series 7 brokers. They're like, yeah, those numbers are in those accounts. We just don't see your name on it. And I go, okay, well, that's fine because these numbers are the driver's license number. It can't be used for something else. I can't just make up my same driver's license. And the other thing, remember, that he's also using is the state of the account. Okay, the state. So he can't find that number without it being in that state. So what I'm getting at is it's highly unlikely that there's some random account with my driver's license number on it in that state, and it's a mistake as another number that resembles that in
Yeah.
that state.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, if you have an authenticated birth certificate, and you basically, it's like a share of that fund, right? And if you have an authenticated one, and then it's all about that account. That's your share of that fund, in my opinion.
Yeah, oh yeah, because remember, it's in a portfolio, which is a bunch of cases and a bunch of accounts. So
Right.
you only have a portion of that, and then you only have a portion of that interest that you claim.
Right.
But we need to see that. So I haven't called the mutual fund companies yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to call them and say, hey, just letting you know, like, I see something's being traded here. I got the report on it.
Yeah.
I didn't authorize this, so I need to see a full accounting. I want to know what is mine in this account.
Right.
You know, what belongs to me? How much of that belongs to me?
Right. Okay. Great. That was it. That's all I had on that. It was just the understanding of that, because I think that's really powerful information. You know, you're taking our exemption certificate, our fund, proof of the, anyways,
they're taking
it's a big
our interest.
Yeah, our interest.
They're not. Because, okay, it's fine that they're doing that in commerce, but A, you didn't give us disclosure, and B, we have interest in that, which means we have a right in it.
There's no consideration. Right.
Right. Interest is simply a right. That's all it is. So I have a right in that trade, and you didn't disclose it to me.
Unjust enrichment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Then you could add all of that to the back end, because now you're saying, because you didn't disclose it to me, and because you're making money and not giving it to me that I should be making, we have a whole slew of issues.
And that goes back to correcting our status and reclaiming the wealth, because there's all these lack of consideration and unconscionable contracts. So
it's all for that trade.
For that, it's all that. Okay, great. That's all I had on that. So now we can go to you if you want, and just if you can briefly summarize why you need donations and what this plan is again at the Court of Claims that we're trying to do. And I know we're going to be doing that pro se now, right?
Well, I'm not even sure yet, honestly.
Okay.
Like I said, I think what it is we have to get people similarly situated that have taken care of their estate first, right? So we walk everybody through that process, and then, there's I want to do. Once that's all done, then we can go over to the federal side and say, hey, you guys, I want this back, or I want this out of it because you took it without giving me my interest, right? So, they did 2 donations and stuff are just to help us put all of this together so that we have the money to do that. The Court of Federal Claims is for takings law, okay, which means eminent domain type stuff, right? But eminent domain is simply for property, and it means that the government can take that property as long as they pay you. But it's not just for land. It's for intangible property, too. Well, your interest is property. That's a right. So they've taken that, right? So that's where we would be going into the federal court and say, hey, you took property of mine. Now that I have all this paperwork done, the declaratory judgment, all that stuff, it's clear that you guys took my property and I want it back, or I want to be compensated for it. See? So
Rob, you're a little choppy. Something's wrong with your connection, I think.
Yeah, probably. It's probably this hotel. Did it clear up any? Can you hear me better?
It's like the visual is just a little blurry, but I can hear you. But
yeah, because you were spinning. It started spinning too on your screen, but then it came through.
Okay.
So DID 2 is just asking. Look, if people don't want to become a House of Markus member, and they still want to participate from the outskirts and put in, to help, then that's what we're asking for donations, for people that aren't ready to go all in,
Okay.
And again, it's a donation from your heart. If you can't donate, you don't have the money, that's fine too. Just sign up on the mailing list and pass it around. We're going to be redoing the DID 2 site and everything too. We kind of threw that up to get things moving, and now it's like, okay, we really have to word this better and do everything better because things have shifted because of the recent events over the last 2 months. So now I have to change the website and all that stuff. And it's going to get much, much more focused and clear as we go. So.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's huge. And just want to be able to support that and that mission.
That's at did2.org, by the way.
Did2.org. Yeah.
TOO.org. So
Yeah.
for those of you that are interested in helping in any little way and want to donate, you could go to did2. That would be awesome.
Rob, I can't donate right now, but I hopefully the plan is that I will be able to donate a lot very soon.
Well, this is a donation right here.
Yeah.
All your followers are watching.
Right.
So again, it's really huge, and we're
Yeah.
doing this for everybody. I mean, that's why me going into the federal court claims for my case to blaze this trail is a great idea, but the universe is saying no, that's not the way it's supposed to go. We need to have everybody involved, and so we plan on like we said, the membership, having cards and everything. Because as you know, because you're a member of the House of Markus, like we've got bigger plans for a society that is all functioning together and is all similarly situated. And that's a big word in the legal world, similarly situated, right? Because we're all in alignment. It's unified. It's organized. And that's the other thing with House of Markus and did2 and everything. We're organized. Like we have organization. We have documents that have formed us as an organization, even though they're private. These other groups, they have a website and they charge you for stuff. That's basically it, right? There's no organization there. So that's
Okay. Good. Rob, okay, my next question was on the POA and DOS. Because they're such strong documents, how can we utilize them? Because there's been times when I've been tested by our IRS agents, and I've been tempted to use a lot of the language in those to say, hey, I know who I am, kind of a thing. But I didn't feel comfortable doing that. I'm just curious, is there a way, the only thing I've done is got them recorded in Navajo County, Arizona, because they wouldn't record it in California. How else do you see us being able to utilize those in a better...
certified copy of it, okay?
Yep.
Send it to these organizations, to a particular agent that you're dealing with, make them responsible, do administrative process. Hey, I need you to rebut everything in this record here. I need you to answer me whether this record is a valid record or is it not, right? Those kinds of things. And just serve them a certified copy of it, or make a copy of the certified copy. Say, here's a copy of the certified copy. I'm going to get you a certified copy if you need it. So you rebut this point for point for point, because it's my understanding that this is how things function and serve it on. That's how we've used it.
Okay, that'd be a big document to send, doing all of it.
And that's, you don't have to. You can send pieces of it, right? Like, what pieces do you want to
Right.
send out of it?
Right.
Do you want to send your trust certification? Do you want to send your notice of interest? Maybe both of those together. Do you want to send the declaration but not the POA? Those types of things. So it's totally up to you what you send out.
Okay. Yeah. What I have sent is a notice of status affidavit to all the federal agencies, state agencies. I put them on notice of, hey, this is who I am. But I feel like the POA DOS would be even stronger to send.
You could send that thing right up.
The same
honestly,
same address.
I would send that thing even to the Secretary of State. Hey, change the records. Send it to the President. Okay. I've sent things to the President, Secretary of State, Attorney Generals, putting you guys on notice. Here's a copy. Change my status. Here's a copy. Change my status. You've been notified on this day, and that's how I got my criminal case dismissed, but by documenting the fact that I sent that packet to the President, to the Attorney General, and to the Secretary of State, and said, I need you guys to change my records, and you haven't. Therefore, you're now put on notice, so anything that happens after this, you've all been notified.
Perfect.
That's
And
how I've used it.
now there's a lot in the community saying, the first thing you need to do is do your birth certificate. I'm sorry. The passport. That was next on my list was redo the passport to say that I'm, a non-citizen national. Because I feel like I have an IRS agent currently testing me, like, why haven't you filed taxes? And I'm like, I've been working with Henry on sending them a document that's saying, well, I'm not a taxpayer. I'm not I've never lived in the federal zone, all this stuff. But I want the passport to be able to, like, well, here it is. This is my evidence right here. And then also I could finish it off with the POA, DOS. I just feel like I want to hone in that process. What's your thoughts on
So
the
my
passport?
thoughts, again, their passports are a mixed bag. Some people claim that amazing things have happened, and some people claim that nothing happens. So for me, if I look at the passport, I look after I've done it, put in for a national passport, and it comes back, it looks exactly the same. So for me, I'm like, well, how are these people on the other end going to take this? They're going to look at it and go, what are you talking about? The passport. Oh, you do owe taxes, but they claim that it's coded in your passport. Okay, that your national status is coded in, but we don't know that. So I hate relying on theory or a maybe. So that's just my rule of thumb. My take on it is just be careful what you're relying on as evidence, because it may not be, right? Do I think it's worth a shot? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't see any harm in it,
Yeah.
And if it is, in fact, that you will get a reaction that will let oh, that just piques somebody's interest, right? So
Yeah, because they say there's some that, it depends on like 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars on your passport. That gives you some sort of do not detain.
That's the card. That's the passport card, right? Which is like a license size. Then so there's 3, there's 4, 5. Like for instance, my parents did theirs. They did it exactly the same way, and I think my dad got like a 3-star, and my mom got like a 5. So I mean, they were done exactly the same. So again, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Should I be relying on that, when the results are mixed? So
Right. Well, I wanted to do that because I want to use that instead of the driver's license. I want to have the driver's license. It's just, for me, it's if I have to produce that driver's license, so like, I'm admitting I'm the person. I'm in the office of person, rather than the office of just a man or a gender. Yeah.
The office of man. So that is one of the big issues. Is a lot of people in the freedom community, they want to tell you how to get completely out of the system, but then you can't function in commerce. So again, what we're doing is we're setting up commercial ways of functioning before we completely have the records changed to get a declaratory judgment. So what I mean by that is,
Excuse me.
you can set up LLCs, you can set up trusts, and it's corporations of all kinds of, sorts. Sure, you can do that. That's your next new straw man. That's what you operate in commerce with, right? And then lock everything up, put all the interest into trust, and get your declaratory judgment. So that's where, so my mind right now is around creating a procedure where I've got the POA DOS, I transferred the interest in an assignment of the straw man over to the trust. I'm going to lean that up, okay, however I see fit, leaning that in a valid lien. And then from there, I may even trademark the name a particular way, not the way that people are doing it, because I found that there's perjury involved. I'm not doing it that way, but immediately assigning that name over to a trust. That's why last night on our call, I was talking about sole proprietorship. Look at what they tell you about trademarks and sole proprietorship and everything. This is very important, because your straw man's a sole proprietor that's doing business in everyday life, and you're taking all the hit because you're taking all the liability for it, right? So the straw man is not regulated by the government in terms of sole proprietorship.
Right, but I can prove that my straw man is a sole proprietorship because I did a assumed name certificate, and I'm the name holder. I did that in the state of Minnesota.
Right.
And so that was one of the first things I did back in the day, was the assumed name certificate. So, hey, I'm just the name holder of that. I'm not that. But so hopefully that was a good step. I still have that in my arsenal, and I have the affidavit of publication that it was posted in the newspaper. So I put everyone on notice. I'm not that.
Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking again, like, okay, these are all good pieces to have, but we got to pull them all together and then go for some sort of judgment, right? And that was, again, the whole thing for DID 2 was to get this judgment. But now, instead of getting the federal judgment on one thing, we're going to go through and get a declaratory judgment. But I wouldn't get a declaratory judgment until you have everything properly put into a trust, locked up correctly, and ready to do commerce after your declaratory judgment.
Through that trust.
Through your trust that you set up, yeah.
So we only
Your
want to
trust.
do commerce through our trusts.
Well, you can do them through other entities too.
Yeah.
You can do them through LLCs and corporations, right? Because your
Yeah.
trust can create those. So essentially, yeah, you want to do it through the trust and not through you.
Yeah. You know what? I wish there was like a streamlined version of like of what we want to do, because there's so many different processes people are teaching, and
Oh,
it
I
gets
know.
and
Well,
and going into cracking the code right now. I stopped right here on private agreement and the hold harmless and indemnity agreement, and then the security agreement and the UCC one and all that, because I was like, I've heard Rob talk a lot about this, how important it is to have that security agreement. And one of my other mentors I've been working with, Quasi, he's been telling me how important it is to have the security agreement in place, and then you put a lien out for your trust and your property in it. I'm just wondering if that's a process that you have, if you've read that from cracking the code, and if you support that, and how you support that when it comes to the security agreements and private agreements and leaning and everything.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so all of that is good to be recognized in commerce, right? Because you can lien anything, and when there's an agreement, I shouldn't say you can lien anything, but there are other ways to put notices of interest out there that you have interest in property that aren't through the UCC. But nowadays, all commerce recognizes the UCC. So if you want to be recognized with that in commerce, then do the UCC. But if you're going to do the UCC, you better follow Article 9. Article 9 says you need a security agreement. Security must attach. Security must attach in the fact that, how does security attach? Well, where's your agreement? What did you loan the other person? And how did that security come to be? Is there, and then, yeah, what's the agreement? Hold harmless, indemnity, all these different things. So, yeah, I know it's a powerful way to go, and it's good education.
Yeah.
I say, look, I'm all for people doing their thing as long as they understand how to do it.
Right. And I'm
So
just like,
definitely, like,
yeah,
people are filling out UCC1 forms and going, I put a lien, I filled a
yeah,
UCC1 form out.
no
Well, it's like,
security
that's
agreement.
not a lien. That's a notice of lien. A
Mm-hmm.
UCC1 is a notice, is a public notice of a private interest in someone else's property. That's what
Right.
it is. It's not a lien. The lien comes from the relationship between the parties and the contract that was formed, right, to have the property attached. That's the lien.
Right.
It's when the property attaches to the agreement, to the funding. Because why do they call it a secured party creditor? Because you got to say, I've given this entity something of value, credited it that it owes me. That's the security agreement, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Man,
And
I'm
because
trying.
I've
Yeah.
given this thing value, it
Mm-hmm.
has promised me that it's going to give me all of these pieces of property if it defaults.
Right. I mean, and that's really why these, like the mortgages and all these unconscionable contracts that we have signed have such power, because they have scripted these agreements and contracts in a way that where they have priority lien, and they have, I mean, even if they can't validate anything or
Right.
verify anything or produce the original note, they have you signing where you did an open endorsement rather than a restrictive endorsement, and you are liable. You're on the hook. You're
Yeah.
the guy. You didn't sign to reserve all your rights and without prejudice. You're the guy. So you can go do a UCC1, but it really doesn't mean anything because you don't have that security agreement attached to anything.
Well,
And
right. Exactly. And remember, in terms of mortgages and stuff, like, you can then do a UCC1, but remember, there's a priority lien. And priority meaning first in line, first in time. So if that house and that mortgage was already liened before you did your UCC1 lien, chances are going to be slim you're going to be able to knock that one out and become the priority lien holder.
right. And what I found is none of these contracts we have are actually leaned up in the UCC. They don't. There's like none of them.
Right.
So
That's
so
good. That's a good thing. Yeah.
that's a good thing. Yeah. So you have the evidence that you are first in line if you do a UCC1. But it's all about, for me, just understanding these private agreements, because that's all the banks and that's all these guys are doing, is just creating these contracts and then getting us enjoined in them, and then we have all the liability in the world.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important to understand. So I'm really just trying to go through crack the code and understand what I'm doing, and the office of person is just, they always just want to get us into the office of
Right.
person, and then we're fully liable for everything.
Yeah, exactly. And let's break it down easy. I mean, look, the office of person is simply a legal entity, right? So what do they say? Well, we can't bring a non-legal entity into court. It has to be a legal entity. So the question becomes, when did I become become a legal entity? Well, the minute you stepped into the person of a sole proprietorship, because it's a legal entity. And when you read about sole proprietorships, they say, you know, sole proprietorship is a legal person, blah, 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 you know, or is sole proprietorship's not a legal entity, but you are. So it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I
Who
think
is
y'all got that a
you?
little, right, exactly. I think y'all got that a little
You.
backwards. Because when did I, as a man, become a
Yeah.
legal entity, right? So that's really the whole hijinks and the flipping around of everything.
And they use you in the paperwork for everything, like, or your,
Right.
and that's really like a plural word. Like, who are you speaking with? Are you speaking to a crowd? You know,
Right.
it's all like you've been saying for years. It's just understanding their wordplay, the definitions. I mean, there's different dictionaries. There's banking dictionaries. You know, Barron's 7th edition banking dictionary. There's Black's Law. There's so many different ways they define words to get us confused and not know the right definitions.
Oh yeah. It's all about, man. It's all about the words, you know, and the trickery, the deceit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this House of Markus, because I'm going to finish this cracking the code, and then I'm probably going to have a good game plan as to what I'm going to do my next step. And I'm just curious, does House of Markus have any sort of process like that where we've already done the POA, DOS, now we're looking at creating, we have our trust set up. Now we're looking at creating some security agreements. Is that already on the site and maybe I've just missed it, or is that coming or no?
That's something that I'm meeting with this team that we're going to put together. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I want to put all the most powerful stuff together to position us so that we're ready to step out and say, okay, we're stepping out. We're going to claim our inheritance. We're going to step out. But yet we still have this way of functioning within the commercial realm. And that all has to be done before you step out, so to speak. And when I say step out, I mean stepping out of the office of person. We're giving that up.
Right.
So,
Right. That's the biggest thing for people, I think, to understand is there is this office of person that they draw you into, and every sort of presentment you get, any sort of traffic stop, any sort of anything. And when you don't know who you are, you get dragged into that, and then you're just a legal entity that, you know, doesn't have the same rights that a man or woman would have, because they created that office of person, and therefore they control it. And only God created us, so only God can control us. But not when we're the person, they can control us.
Right.
You know? So.
And if you think about it, it was just their way of creating AI before they had technology to actually make a physical body, which is all they're doing now. They're just trying to make physical AI bodies to put souls into so they can get rid of the organic body. And that's the war. That's the war that's going on. Do we stop them from that timeline and keep this body organically with everything else around it? Or do they win and create AI and robots and make this world nothing but a dead industrial planet? And that's, to me, is not going to happen. I think we're on to it, and I think we'll eventually stop them. But that's all we're doing here, is we're stopping them by doing all this stuff. So think about it. That's all that they really did. They just created fake persons over time.
Yep.
And then made us believe that we're, which is soulless, but we have a soul. And that's all they're doing now, right? They're creating robots where they're trying to now take a soul and put it into a robot. Yeah. It's like, these guys are hilarious, man. The shit they try to pull.
They really are. Okay, so as far as did to, I understand we don't have Jude anymore. We don't have the legal the part in the public that we once had. Is that affecting anything, or how has that changed things for House of Markus?
Actually, we'll be able to move a lot faster now.
Okay, good.
Honestly, so yeah.
Okay,
it doesn't affect anything negatively. It just means, again, we got to slightly shift from litigation to our own self-declarations, and then go into a later litigation as a body, as a group, rather than an individual.
Now, will that be like a tort claim, or will that be, when you say a group, how does that work? Is like a we're not going to be coming in and filing one lawsuit, are we? Or how does that
I'm not
work?
sure till we get to that point. It may not even be the Court of Federal Claims at that point. Maybe it's an international court because now we formed a body that wants to be recognized as a separate, society. I don't know yet. I
Okay.
just know that we got to wind it back and get everybody through these steps first. At least that's what's coming through to me. Like, okay, bring people through the steps. Don't just run in there and try to fight this thing. And because, court is a battlefield. So instead of going in and fighting, this is more about doing the olive branch. We're working it out. Once you have a declaration from a court, man, it's over. It's over. You don't have to do any of this shit anymore. All you got to do is issue your court-ordered declaration and judgment in your favor, and it's over. I don't care what the issue is. Child support, traffic, it doesn't matter. It's over at that point. That's why it's super important.
And that is the correcting of the status and reclaiming the wealth. For me, that's the theme I get, right? That's what
you broke up. What was that?
Okay, so our ultimate goal here is to correct the status on the record and reclaim the wealth that comes with that, right? That is the main thing. You hear me okay?
Yeah. But when you're going for a declaratory judgment, that's not what you're doing in that particular instance. A declaratory judgment says, what are my rights, obligations, and duties to this thing that I have a certificate for? State, you need to clarify that.
Okay.
Oh, you don't have any. Great, thank you. It's over at that point. You're done. It's over. Now, how do you get the wealth back? In other words, that's your record correction right there. Bam, that's done. Now, how do you get the wealth back? The wealth is going to be, I believe, us going into each mutual fund account, chasing down all these accounts, getting CUSIPs on. We have to do that legwork first, put together a number, and then go, here's what I want back because I have interest in this. That's a different procedure at that point. Once you have the declaratory judgment, your record's changed. That's huge, right? Because now you got to find a court that's going to recognize the fact that you're not a U.S. citizen, you're an American, you're a national. So, just a process. And I don't always know how it's going to lay out. That's why I'm real happy with this new team that we can put this stuff together. I won't know until I speak with them and get them on the same page.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, keep us posted on how this goes. And, if people want to support you, they can donate to, could you tell us the site again where they can go and donate? And of course they can
you go to either dig2.org right now, which will be changing, but the donation button is there, DIDTOO.org. If you want to become a House of Markus member, that helps us because everybody chips in, right? There's a monthly membership fee. So you go to houseofmarkus.org. So those are the two ways you can get involved. And yes, we're going to be walking people through as we do it, but I want to write this stuff with these guys I'm dealing with because they're pros, man. And I mean, pros in terms of who I want to work with, right? I've seen a bunch of shoddy shit in the past, and I'm like, oh, thank God I finally got guys that know what they're doing. They write their own stuff from here, right? That's like I was saying in our administrative process videos again. I'm teaching this again like the fourth time because I can write administrative process on a napkin. It's got to come from you. You can't just, I mean, don't get me wrong, templates are good to start with, right? But you got to understand enough law to be able to put the stuff in correctly and effectively without cutting and pasting someone else's work because their work's not going to fit your situation. What is it you're trying to achieve like that? You have to be able to strategize.
Yeah. I've done so many private administrative processes. I've got so many people in default. I just haven't gone into court and filed anything.
Well, that's the thing, right? So and that's one of the things I learned about administrative processes. Everybody thinks it's a remedy and that they can go in and do that. And I've always seen that, no, it never works. They don't even listen to it. So it becomes a record for what I'm going to do later. So in other words, when I turn around to go after these accounts, I'm going to go, and you were notified here. Can't deny it. I've got all the mailing. Here's my stack of evidence that you were notified. Therefore, you do owe me. But I think that comes after we get declared who we are and all of that kind of stuff, right? There's other, the interests have to be put into the trust properly and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to lay all that out, man. That's my goal. Because I've been very big on no procedure. you know, because I don't want to be responsible for your failed procedure. Right? That's not my thing. But now seeing what we're doing, I'm like, okay, we will put together our procedure of how we're going to do this. And I'll feel confident in that by telling people this isn't going to work for you unless you know what you're doing. Because here's why, Dave. At the end of the procedure, you got to go get your declaratory judgment. Well, the only person that's going to be able to do that is you, which means when you're questioned and you fail, you're out.
Yeah.
So you need to know your stuff because you're the one that has to answer to it. Yep. None of these gurus are going to teach you how, or going to do that for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's best if they teach you how to do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you don't teach process, but at this point, I just feel like I feel like I want to follow a process. Right. But at the same time, read the redemption manual, read Cracking the Code.
There's tons of processes in there. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to study those and understand what they're doing. What are the concepts behind them? And then use your experience that you've had for over these, you know, all these years. And then it would be great to have that process because it's not something that you're promising the world. It's basically saying it's just a foundation to follow. And it's one that I would trust. So that's important.
Yeah.
So
big time. And you know, Dave, for probably hearing me over the last, year and a half that you've known me or whatever, as I always say, you know, we all do these similar steps together. It might not happen overnight. It's going to take time. But if we all do a similar, seamless process where everything is in line, how are they going to be able to deny us? Especially if we have, 500? I mean, that's like nothing, right? But still, that's a lot, right? But if we had 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 people, I mean, that would be huge, even though it's a mustard seed, you know?
Right.
Still huge, you know?
Okay. So
could you imagine if we had, say a few hundred or 1,000 people in each state that did a similar process? That would be 50,000 people. That's a drop in the bucket. But you know what? That state would be flooded just with 1,000.
Yep.
Because they're not ready to handle this. So that's another, speaking of not ready, that's another thing. You know, I know, and some of our members know from looking at certain things that, look, the UN and international organizations, there are loopholes in their treaties and stuff and in their banking stuff that are waiting for people to show up like this. They're just never going to tell us how to do it. But when we show up, they have to give us our wealth back. They have to give us our freedom back. They have to, you know. And I know that that's a bad thing to say, they have to do this, but we've seen it. We just haven't seen anybody actually get to that point, you know. So,
yeah, yeah.
And if we're strong enough with enough people involved, then we can do it. It's unity, right. Man. Unity, that's the thing, unity. Everything they do is divide, 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 divide. So for us, build a solid organization that's organized, get people on the same page, and unify for the right reason. And dude, you got something powerful.
Right, right. And that, like me personally, I'm seeing that a lot of these companies, they dishonor, you know, instruments you send. They just challenge you to sue them, and it feels like they can just bully you if you're just one person coming at them. Even if you're doing everything lawfully, you're sending someone registered security or a negotiable instrument, but when groups do it and there's a certain foundation behind it, it's gonna. I feel like they're not going to be able to deny us like they have been denying people individually and dishonoring people individually. You know.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I've been so big. I mean, it's 10 years now I've been trying to get people to understand this concept. And I know because the group we were in 10 years ago was super powerful. But I also know it got taken down because it was powerful. And what were the weaknesses in that group, you know? But what we did is still in effect today. I can tell you that much. And like I was saying last night, you know, I don't want to get too far into it, but, you know, I'm planning on bringing that back around when the group is organized to that point or when they've reached that level. Then I will. And that's the other thing. What we're doing at the House of Markus is getting everybody organized so we can go into a bigger society that can then step up for everyone and speak for them. It's not going to handle their problems, but it's going to say, they're with us, and here's who we are, and we're unified and organized. So if you want to deal with them, you need to come to us because we're now their trustees. That's huge. Dude, if you could have trustees for you that would step in, nobody has that because nobody can figure out who's my trustee, what do I do, how do I trust? They don't have enough knowledge. So we should be taking guys like myself who form a trust for you guys and then step in as your trustees, right? That doesn't mean we hold all your property. No. We have limited, authority to do a certain thing with the certain property that we're talking about that's in the trust. Maybe it's the name.
Yeah.
Right? So that's it. I'm building this bigger thing so that we can do that.
Awesome.
That's what
Awesome.
House of Markus did too. And remember, all those are all organized together. Even though they're separate entities, we're all working in conjunction. So.
Awesome. Well, I feel like we are kind of chipping away at them, and you know what? Just me personally, I'm getting continually tested. Again, called, letters from IRS agents, asking questions. I've had some successes with negotiable instruments. I've had a lot of dishonors with negotiable instruments. And it's just like, it's a giant test. And I just feel like we're getting close to the point where we're going to be impenetrable because we're going to have the knowledge, we're going to be able to back it up, and we're going to have the actual foundation and structure that, and then if we get a declaratory judgment, and I mean, we're everyone keep having faith, because as tough as this is, this road, this journey, we're going to get there. There's no doubt about it.
We're not far, man. We're not far from it, I'm telling you. We are close. You know?
Yeah.
And when I say that, it could be 5 years from now. That's
right.
Nothing. That's nothing. People are so used to, I got to have right now, I got to have this, I got to have. No, you have to have the experience right now, whatever that experience is, right? What is divine will happen when it's time. So just give it a minute and look at all the positive things that are happening and the movement and progression we've made in consciousness. That tells you that we're doing this, right? To me. So.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Rob, I covered everything I wanted to discuss. The CUSIPs, the POA, DOS, the cracking the code. Is there any last words you have? I know you have a busy day and you got to get going. And so.
Yeah, got to get rolling. But no, my last thing would just simply be to say, man, get over to the House of Markus and join. You can cancel if you want. We don't want you to. We want you to stick around in our family. But damn, stop paying all these gurus all this money and, do it on your own. All the resources are there at the House of Markus. We continue to build that out. So, houseofmarkus.org, it's pinned to the bottom.
Yep. And then, and we're gonna be taking some big steps and allow the divinely inspired path to continue. And there's gonna be some bumps in the road, like there are always. But we're gonna continue to forge ahead, and there, you're exactly right. There are so many gurus out there just taking FRNs and not delivering, and I know for a fact that House of Markus is not one of those. So
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
we do have a lot of things to go through. I mean, guys, if I could tell you my last 2 months and how it went, I'm pretty sure most people would have collapsed. I just got dealt some incredibly tough blows, man, for the last 2 months.
You and I both.
Still standing, still rolling, still going through it. So
I still got my breath. I still know who I am. And this past year has been the toughest of my life. But I'm gonna take everything that I've learned and how low I've been, and I'm gonna remember that once I rise up again. And I'm already rising up again. And we're coming. We're coming. Remedy and relief is on its way. Hang in there, everybody. Have faith. And let's go. Love you, Rob.
No, I love you too, man. You do a great job, man, getting out there and being a light for everybody. That's super important. That's the most important. And truth, because you're an honest man. You're not somebody that's trying to sham anybody, and that's the most important thing. So.
And I've seen that with others who I thought were honorable, and they're not. And I guess it's rare these days.
Actions, brother, actions. Even in my own circle, I've had to cut people out that just weren't honest.
Yeah. And that's how we trim, our circle, and just then we form the right one. So,
And, like attracts like, right?
yep.
So when you're in that, misery loves company. So people that are miserable attract that, right? We don't attract that. We attract the people that are truthful and honest. But that doesn't mean we're not going to get some infiltrators sometimes. And we just got to, figure them out and move on. Sorry. Move them out of your sphere. They don't belong there.
Right. I know. Yeah. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining. I will post this on the channel so you can go watch it again. And just keep studying, keep having faith, and just trust the path, and we'll get there.
You got it, brother. Love you, man.
All right. Love you too. Talk to you soon. Peace, everyone.
See you guys.